we are live. Great, cool. It's the first 10 seconds is always worrying when you want to make sure that the participants are going up. We'll do some introductions in a couple of moments, but I guess first question while we're waiting for all the attendees, how's everyone's weeks going this week?
Great, thank you. I guess it's kind of a busy week for all of us here at Bumble.
Well, it's better to have a busy week than a not busy week. Just for all the attendees, if you can drop all questions to myself and the Bumble team into Q&A. If you also want to use the chat functionality, if you change the chat to all attendees, all panelists and attendees, it will mean that everyone can see the chat going on during it. If we give it another 30 seconds, I'll then start the introductions. The numbers are going up nicely.
It's at 11, right? Shall we start?
Yep. So so I'll do some introductions at the start and I'll hand over to the team. So for anyone that hasn't been on a webinar with myself before, I'm Darren. I head up the account management team and customer success team here at hackajob. So look after all of our partner clients. Jairo, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Jairo González. I'm engineering manager at Bumble. I worked there for the last 5 years almost, and I currently lead the Batu team.
Hi everyone, I'm Chitra Kotwani. I'm an iOS developer in Bumble. I joined about 3 months back, so I'm very fresh. However, I have worked as an iOS developer for around 8 years now, and I'm happy to have you all over here, and I hope I can lure some of you in our hive. Zsolt, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Zsolt Kocsi. I'm an Android engineer and I've been at Bumble for almost 4 years now. And I've seen feature development as well as transfer to the core team later. And it's very nice to see so many of you here today.
Amazing. So Jairo, I know you've got a presentation.
Yes.
You're going to be going through at the start. So
I'm doing right now.
Perfect.
Okay. So can you guys see it, everyone? All right, so yeah, this was the presentation. Sorry about that. Darren, you want to speak through what we're going to cover?
Absolutely. So during this, what we'll do is obviously we've done the introductions already. Jairo will take us through mobile engineering at Bumble, so a bit of an overview. We'll then run through some of the working at Bumble, so give all of the attendees a bit of an understanding about what the recruitment process will look like. We'll then talk about Bumble post-COVID-19. The C word is the buzzword in the world right now, so we'll talk about what potentially things will look like afterwards. A little bit about life at Bumble, and then there's going to be lots of opportunity at the end for all the attendees to ask questions. So make sure you're getting all the questions in nice and early, and then we'll get through to them in the last third or so of this webinar.
All right, thank you, Darren. So I will start right now. Hello, everyone, again. I'm really excited to see we have so many people, actually. So thank you, everyone, for attending the event. My name is Jairo, again. And for those who don't know the Bumble brand, you might recognize Badu. But if that is not the case either, it doesn't really matter, because the purpose of my talk is to make sure you won't forget about it. So Bumble is the parent company that operates 2 of the world's largest dating and connections apps in the world. One of them is Bumble, who made not only necessary but acceptable for women to make the first move, shaking up outdated gender norms. And the other one is Badu, which is focused on providing the most honest and secure dating experience for everyone. And our mission as a company, our mission as a company is to provide the most equitable, inclusive, and empowering way to connect through love, life, and work. Now let me give you some numbers about us. Between both applications, we are present in the top 10 of our category in the Apple and Google App Stores in many countries, with a sustained rating of more than 4 stars. We have over 600 employees from all over the world, spread into 4 different locations, in Austin, Texas, London, UK, Moscow in Russia, and Barcelona in Spain. Well, to be more precise, in the current situation, we're mostly spread around the world, working remotely. Anyways, behind the scenes, we're actually a tech company. 3/4 of our employees work in the engineering and product team. And more specifically, we have 60 mobile native developers in charge of developing new and amazing features to be released every single week to our users. This means more than 50 releases every year. And we have a lot of users between the 2 brands. We are present in 190 countries around the world. And as you might figure out, to provide the best environment and experience to all of these users is not a trivial task. So let's see why. First and foremost, because we care about all of our users, all kinds of users. As I mentioned before, our mission is to provide the most inclusive and empowering way to connect. So our aim is to support all existing differences in realities. Let it be gender, sexual orientation, culture, and so on. And for that reason, we need to be flexible and scalable in both of our applications. Everything in these applications, from the top of the funnel, which is registration and onboarding, to the very bottom, which is generating meaningful conversations, is tailored to each specific user, and it looks different depending on the situation. For this reason, we invest a lot in these 3 main things: reusability, business intelligence, and performance. Let's dig a bit deeper into these challenges. Reusability. Yeah, reusability is a hard problem to solve. And there is no recipe for how to do this best. So we are constantly thinking in this direction. It took us a while, but we figured out that what we consider a reusable component and came up with an approach to meaningful reusability between applications that we actually feel quite proud of. The first step is to assume that something cannot be reused if it's not designed to be reused. So for that reason, we implement our own design system, which is called Cosmos. As you know, every new feature starts with an idea that we believe it will serve for a purpose. And this idea usually comes with a visual representation. With a design system, our design team can provide this very fast, just reusing existing UI components seamlessly. Let's see how we work with this. All components are carefully described in a web interface, which is maintained by the design team and reviewed by client developers. This is it. You can see it on the right of the screen. So every component in Cosmos needs to have its client implementation. And to keep everything synchronized, we funnel the work through the UI committees on Android and iOS, which is formed by a set of representatives of each team. As a mobile developer, building UI with Cosmos components is like combining Lego bricks. Each of them are well tested and working properly, so you just need to combine them. So if Cosmos specifies formally our UI, bridging the gap between designers and developers, MAPI defines our interface of communication between the server and the client. So MAPI stands for Mobile API, right? Easy. And we use Google protocol buffers to structure the information. But every single functionality is carefully described and organized in a web interface for reference, which is also called, guess how? MAPI as well. And its maintenance and coherence is responsibility of a team, again with the same name, which is called MAPI team, which is a group of architects with a mixed knowledge between the client and the server. But despite of having a special team for that, any developer can contribute to it following the specific guidelines and review process. One thing, we put great effort here, as defining the boundaries between the client and the server is essential to avoid future blockers and dependencies. This means that when the server part is done according to this contract, implementing the client part is like implementing a top-notch third-party library. So it's quite easy. The integration stage between client and server is minimal. So as you can see, we try to think about what we can reuse and to discuss possible changes at the earliest possible iteration. And the business logic in the client side is no exception. We try to organize our code base into modules by business feature components, as opposed to different organizations by layers, such as data, UI, and so on. And we organize these components in a tree structure. So each module just knows its children's, always based on abstractions, but doesn't know anything about other modules and doesn't know anything about the application in general. This helps us to pick at any level in this tree hierarchy and easily reuse as a whole, regardless of the application, as you can see. This also helps to test our business features in isolation, allowing a proper approach to the testing parameter, reducing to the minimum the need of manual QA. This means that the more we reuse, the fewer bugs we need to fix, basically. But building a robust and reusable system wouldn't be possible without metrics. Indeed, we are not robust by accident. We pay special attention to our users' needs, and we do what it takes to measure every single detail. But that doesn't mean that we are slow. In fact, we try to move fast, fail fast, and iterate fast. This also means we innovate meaningfully, and we do not over-engineer to start with. So our strategy is to prove multiple hypotheses, launching MVPs with multiple experimental variants. So all in all, every day we have an average of 120 different experiments running, and we process around 30 billion events. And all this, of course, will be impossible without an amazing BI team that works hand in hand with engineering, design, product, and marketing to make sure that we understand the reasons for our users' behavior, so we can always build a better product. But tailoring the best experience to each of our users' needs also means to understand the devices they are using. One of our biggest challenges is the segmentation of devices, different iOS versions and screen sizes. We just support a lot of them. We make sure that we analyze and put laser focus on what really matters. Some examples where high performance and low memory consumption is really important for us is some features like encounters. The game of encounters is the main discovery feature for our dating applications. As you might guess, it works swiping left or right in profiles if you have these kind of applications. And the fastest information loads and the smoother the transitions are, the more votes a user can place in a session. And the more votes, the more matches can be generated and more activity. I will play it again. So it's very important to have a perfect load, preload, and caching mechanism in place. The same way it works in the same way, we have the people nearby screen, which in big cities like London, you can scroll and scroll and scroll, and it gets infinite. So the more profiles the users can load, the more discovery opportunities we have. So it's important to avoid laggy behaviors, even loading thousands of people. But we also have chat and connection list. And talking about big cities like London, having internet connection in the tube is not always possible, but being able to provide a smoother messaging experience where there are connection cuts is in our hand. It's only in our hand. For this reason, all messages are available offline, and we try to get a smooth reconnection experience. The connection list might also be very long and have frequent updates and new contacts because you don't have fixed amount of friends. You are making friends and new connections every day. So our chat needs to be top notch because it competes with dedicated messenger applications in the market. In addition to these key areas, we are always looking for new ways to take advantage of new devices and OS capabilities to optimize our flows. A good example of that is the verification by gesture recognition or integration of video calls with the operating system and so on. But the best optimization we can do is to pay special attention to our app vital metrics, and especially to our crash rate. We don't only look at the top 10 crashes, we try to monitor closely even minor crash groups that might affect the whole experience of a segmented group of users. For example, recently launched feature that is only open to a small percentage of users in specific countries. It needs to be monitored, and it would be just minor groups. For that, we have our internal error tool, which is made by us, and it helps us greatly with these matters. So let's talk a bit about how is Bumble behind the scenes. And the first you might want to ask is how we are organized. Well, we are organized in cross-functional teams that we call pods. And the goal of a pod is to ideate and execute autonomously with small support from other teams. Each pod is led by one engineering manager and one product manager. In our company, the most common setup is a mix of iOS, Android server, QA, designer, BI, and product. The size of a pod varies depending on the goals, but typically it's around 10 people. Each member of a pod belongs also to a chapter. And a chapter is just a group of people by area of expertise. So we have Android chapter, iOS chapter, and so on. Each chapter has also a chapter lead and other inner roles in its own structure. At a bigger scale, pods are organized in collectives by related areas of the business, for example, the platform or revenue. And they are led by a collective engineering manager and a product lead. But despite this separation of responsibilities, we have a strong engineering culture that ties us together. And as you have seen, we care about our users, about our product, we care about our code, and we're proud to share it. So we encourage our developers to share their work with the community by publishing articles and speaking at international events. We provide all the guidance for them to do this because we also care about their professional development. Our successful tech articles and open source are often featuring famous mobile newsletters like Kotlin Weekly, Android Weekly, and so on. We also encourage our developers to assist training courses and worldwide conferences several times per year. And we also participate in conferences and meetups as organizers. Even during the lockdown, we have been organizing activities such as Ask Me Anything in Reddit for both iOS and Android, online meetups, hackathons, and so on. Don't miss our latest articles here. I will put this link later in the final slide so you can visit it. Anyway, so as I was saying, we care about our users, our product, we care about our code, but we also care about our employees, professional development, and their well-being. And for that reason, we provide amazing perks to make our life at work easier. Before COVID-19, we had daily breakfast, even with X cooking show included, lunch, dinner, fitness, massage, celebrations, language lessons, anything that can fit in our offices, which by the way, they were amazing. They are still amazing. And our team building activities are not less amazing. And we support a huge variety of them, such as traveling, local activities, sport teams, again, anything you might want to propose. With the current situation, it is hard to replicate the awesomeness of the last year, but we stay equally awesome online. By the way, if you look at the button, this was my selfie with my team. Anyways, since our office is closed, our perks as remote workers are just as comparable. We have personal support, online activities, as I said before, hackathons, and a lot of things sent to home. These are actually real examples of things that boxes I have received at home on different Fridays. So it's really cool in general. But anyways, this is just the cherry on the top of the cake. Important thing here is that no matter what your personal situation is, we're here to support each other, and we always have time for a helping hand. And just to finalize, if you ask me, I will describe Bumble as a company that is not just cool, friendly, fun, supportive, and serious. It's a place in constant growth where you can develop your career, but also where you will be a part of a greater purpose to empower people around the world to seek what they really want. And yeah, that's basically us. And that's all from my side. Again, thank you very much, everyone, for your time today. If you have now any questions about anything that I've spoken, we'll be happy to answer them in a second. So I will now pass the talking to Zsolt and Chitra. Thank you very much, everyone.
Amazing. So we had some questions that came in before the event. So what I'll do is I'll just ask you guys, and then we'll get through to some of the questions that come through during this session. So I guess let's start with Chitra and Zsolt. So what kind of tech are you using internally at the moment? Is it one of you using iOS, one of you using Android? So would you be able to just walk us through some of the tech you're using on a day-to-day basis within the teams?
Yeah, sure. I can start with iOS. So on iOS, all the current new development is done in Swift language. We have some legacy code in Objective-C, which is being rewritten and modernized to Swift as well. So at the present, only 10% of our code is Objective-C, even though the development started in, I think, 2010 or something like this. About architecture, we mostly use MVVM at the moment with coordinators. What else? Our testing stack includes unit tests, functional tests, snapshot tests. We are evaluating Swift UI and Combine, so we are experimenting and looking how to start using it and if it is stable enough. So that's about iOS. And Zsolt, if you like to talk about Android.
Sure. On Android, I think we are quite proud that we were always the first to adopt new technologies in a careful manner. So for example, we were the first adopters of Kotlin And I'm proud to say that we've been developing all new code in Kotlin and not in Java for more than 3 years now. For the business logic, we are using an implementation of an MVI pattern. You can check this. Most of our work is open source and available on GitHub. So we use a library called MVI Core, which was developed in-house. For the shareable modules and reusable components part, for the application architecture itself, we are using a heavily modified version of RIBS architecture, which is so heavily modified that it has almost nothing to do with the original. So I also encourage you to check it out on GitHub. And for the UI part, we are looking into Google's Jetpack Compose. And once it becomes stable, I think all of us will be very happy to adopt it as soon as possible.
Amazing.
Back to you, Darren.
Amazing. Question for you, Jairo. During the presentation, you spoke about experiments quite a lot, which is really, really interesting. So would you be able to, and I think you said that you're running 120 experiments a day, which is a lot of experiments to run. So how does that work? Because I suspect it's quite complex to have that many experiments running at any given time.
So these are not, every day is not 120 new experiments. So most of the experiments run for at least 2 weeks. So we have, we have enough data, right? But there are every day 120 different. In terms of deadlines, I don't know what you guys mean in terms of deadline, but I guess if there is some, I don't know, marketing compromise deadline, something like that, we try to test the feature, obviously before the deadline, and to have it tested with results before even run a campaign. Sometimes there are some things that you just need to do in some country to support. For example, when we were supporting the COVID, the NHS workers and so on. Well, you don't need to really experiment with this one too much, right? So we just released it, and for to control when we open such features, it works in the same way with our A/B testing tool, but it just open from 0 to 100. So, yeah, I'm not sure if I answered the question, but I will be happy to answer.
No, I think that answers the question. Chitra and Zsolt, question back to you. So we spoke about the makeup of the teams. Obviously, the Jairo was saying that there's 10 members in. So how do you, as a team member, find your place in that team? How do you kind of stand out?
Yeah, so basically the entire teams are, I mean, all the tech people are divided into teams at higher level, at component level, and within that at feature level, and it keeps changing all the time. So we're not, we keep moving based on the business needs. A cross-functional team is set up to achieve a certain goal, and then it would disperse and another team would be set up to achieve another business goal. There are also infrastructure teams, core teams who develop infrastructure which is needed for developers to work efficiently and in a robust manner. So you would most probably be a part of some feature team, and on top of this, you can also choose to be part of some committees, some tech committees. For instance, in the presentation Jairo just mentioned, there is a UI committee which sees to it that the Cosmos components are all implemented on the client sides. So, or there can be testing committee who makes improvements to testing infrastructure. So so this is on top of being a part of meeting your business needs, you can also be part of some tech committees. So I think there is one component where you can be more choosy where you want to be part of. If you're feeling like you want to do more, you can be part of more committees on top of doing your day-to-day development. Yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Anything you'd add there, Zsolt, or do you think that answered?
It's all answered. Nothing to add here.
Cool. Nice one. Jairo, you also spoke about, well, we kind of know due to the event you're hiring in the team at the moment, but everyone knows because of the dreaded C word that it's very, very difficult to hire right now. So what changes have you had to make in order to allow Bumble to continue the process as usual?
So it's not only difficult to hire, but also difficult to onboard in the first month of working, right? We're pretty proud because we have hired many people during this lockdown, and the onboarding was quite successful. In general, the process is quite simple. When you join, you have a mentor, and also you have a tech lead and a manager, right? And you have a set of tasks already pre-selected for you. So they're very simple tasks for the first weeks, where you can see how to use the design system, how to work with the UI, how to work with models, how to track events, how to work with translations, anything, right? So you get traction fast while you have all the support needed from your team, with weekly meetings, with daily even catch up with, as I said, mentor, your manager. You have always point of contact for anything. And as soon as you finish this set of tasks, we want you during your first months to start developing things that will go live, that will be released as soon as possible. So the sooner you have a flavor of what it means to be in Bumble, the better for everyone, right? So all of our new developers are involved in feature development from month zero, from the first month, right? Obviously not super duper big refactors at the beginning, right? So something environment controlled. So you learn step by step, and the goal of this is to make developers autonomous as soon as possible. So it has worked for us quite good, and yeah, well, I think everyone. Well, Chitra joined during the lockdown. She can speak a bit more about it if she wants.
Yeah, sure. I can actually share my experience because I joined during the lockdown and my interview was during the lockdown. So it all went very efficiently, to be honest. So for first week, there was a to-do list of what things I should be shown, because there are lots of in-house tools that we use to achieve various things. And yeah, so I had 1 week of some tasks given in different parts so that I can get acclimatized to different parts of the different areas of the code base and different areas of the business. And from week 2, I was literally developing a feature. First 3 weeks, I even, released one feature. So it was very efficient. The interview process took around 1.5 weeks, but I was the one, taking time. It could have been finished in 2 days if I wished. Yeah, it was super efficient, and I didn't feel that I needed to be in office. Everybody was just one call away.
So your interview experience was a little while before Chitra's. Was there anything about the interview experience that you really enjoyed when you originally interviewed with Bumble?
So yeah, my experience is obviously a bit outdated as it happened like 4 years ago. One thing I remember is confirming what Chitra just said, is that everything was very quick, in a positive way. That is, so that was a super quick feedback loop. I remember that the recruitment team was getting back to me very quickly after each round.
Amazing. And talking about we're kind of coming on to the actual future in a couple of minutes, but is there any features that you guys are working on at the moment that you're really excited about? I guess question to all three of you.
So when I first joined, I was part of feature teams, more than one of them. But since then, I moved on to the platform team, so I cannot really say any feature that I've been working on to be released. Recently, I've been more focusing on tech and architecture and internal tooling. So in that matter, what I already mentioned about our open source projects, our fork of Ribs is coming to 1.0 version very soon. So that is something that I'm quite looking forward to it, because it's been in the works for almost 2 years now, and it's quite nice to see the result of that finally.
Amazing.
Yeah, adding to that, although I'm a part of feature teams, but I'm not sure if I can tell the specifics of what features are being developed. But I can say that we are always looking to roll out some innovative product features by using some trendy technologies, for example, artificial intelligence, that not only prioritizes the safety of our users, but also helps people build a memorable profile, find quality matches, and interact with their matches in a meaningful way. So there are always some improvements going on in those areas.
Anything you'd add, Jairo?
Right. I'm not currently developing features, but some of the latest ones that my team were working, we're focusing on improve the profile quality. So a lot of things related to gather better information from users during the onboarding and also after the onboarding. And also there is always some things to do here and there that you try, things that didn't reach the normal the most of the people, right? For example, the way you swiping instead of tapping, the way other application does, and so on. We're constantly experimenting with these kind of things, and over the last couple of months we have run several experiments. Some of them will go through, some of them will not. We'll see. Stay tuned.
Nice. It'd be interesting to understand how each of you think that the way that you're working at Bumble will change. Chitra, a little bit different for you because as far as I'm aware, you've never been in the office because of everything that's going on. But I guess question for the other guys, probably more, what do you think will change from how you worked before to how you work when we come out of this, depending on when Boris allows us to return to some normality?
Jairo, you want to go first?
Okay, I can go first. Well, with the latest news from yesterday, we are not expecting to go back to normal for a while, right? But we were not expecting that as well. I think that this COVID situation has changed the rules for many companies. And what we would expect is to have more flexibility in terms of who goes to the office and who stays at home. And probably the office will be more like a shared space where you can go and work if you want to, right? Rather than has to go. But this is something that we don't know how it will end up. Many employees want to go to the office because cannot work at home. Other employees prefer to actually be working from home because they have bigger house or space. We'll try to adapt to different situations and listen feedback from everyone. So we have been adapting to this, and I didn't particularly notice any big issues. We haven't noticed any issues, and moreover, part of my team was in London, another part was in Moscow, so we're very used to work remotely and with time difference. Now we are opening positions in Barcelona as well. So things are changing, and we will adapt. I don't see any issues with that. We will just adapt and make sure that everything is for the best of everyone.
One thing I can say about this is all this situation where we were forced to basically from day one to the next go fully remote went surprisingly smooth. So without any major hiccups, I would say. And this forced us to adopt a new working pattern, working fully remotely. And that obviously will shift our working culture toward more remote, as Jairo said, but that is not to say that we are closing down the offices. In fact, it's the opposite. So we are opening a new one in Barcelona, as Jairo said.
Amazing. So I guess if we move on to the questions from the audience at this point, there's quite a lot in there. So let's see how many we can get through in the remaining 20 or so minutes. I'll chuck this out to you guys, and then whoever wants to answer, feel free to. What's the tech stack you guys are using internally from a front end perspective right now?
I can answer this one. So in terms of front end, not mobile, so no native specifically. We're using PHP in the server, JavaScript mostly for the front end. It's a framework built by us. We're not using any existing framework.
Okay.
And recently in the backend, we're switching from PHP pure to Kotlin, and we're going to microservices, breaking the monolith we had for years. The tech stack that we have in native application, probably Chitra and Zsolt can talk more about it.
I think we kind of covered this in an earlier question, so I don't think there's anything more to add here.
Yeah, I think we covered it from iOS and Android, so that's fine. What's a question to everyone? What's your favorite thing about working at Bumble?
The people. That's a very quick answer. Amazing people to work with. Lots of talented and very nice people. And very inspiring, I would say.
Yes, I think for me it would be similar. The tech is just great. So I love the tech. You don't do many menial tasks because lots of it is just automated, and you're doing just some good development there. And yeah, obviously there are lots of good perks. So I really feel taken care of here. And yeah, the work environment is also very inclusive, and there's lots of respect for others, so I like this as well. Oh gosh, favorite thing, I'm just talking lots of things. And training budget is great. Yeah, I think there's lots to like about working at Bumble.
From my side, from management perspective, on top of what Zsolt and Chitra said, right, I would like to add that we get things done very fast. We have all our processes and flows really polished, and we're always looking for ways for improving it. And basically, we can get features live from one day to another. Everyone moves in the same direction. The discussions at all levels happened instantly. But always in the proper forums, right? So you don't get distracted during the day, but still we have very good flow, so we can focus on delivery. I would say that the Bumble is really focused on delivery, and this is one of the main differences with other companies I know. Things happen really fast. So if you want to get stuff done and get it live soon, and this is what we do.
Amazing. I think during the presentation you went through Cosmos, but there seems to be, from what I can see in the chat, there seems to be a couple of questions on it. Would someone just be able to cover Cosmos again? So I think there's a little bit of confusion.
Sorry, was that the question?
Cosmos. There was a question in the chat about, out of curiosity, what is Cosmos? A service tech built on by Bumble. So a little bit of confusion. So if someone can just cover that off. Okay,
I can explain. So Cosmos is language of communication between design team and client. It's comparable to an API. It specifies the design components from a abstract terminology, if you want to call it like that, from the perspective of designer, and it is translated to the front end. I see there is another question that why we don't use a Sketch or other tools. Cosmos is on top of these tools, right? We use Sketch, but some tools have licenses problem, have things that cannot be that cannot provide versus others. So we ended up with a big set of tools. So as a mobile developer, you end up using Sketch plus many others. And we're trying to reduce all this through Cosmos, plus we're right now trying to use Figma. This tool allows many goodies that Sketch provides, is more lightweight, and we are looking forward to move some part of the Cosmos environment. It means the web page, the documentation, the Cosmos components to Figma as well. This is what the design team is working right now. So we're trying to simplify the amount of tools we use.
Makes sense. Chitra, a question for you. What is your opinion on cross-platform mobile frameworks such as Flutter and React Native?
Right. Okay, I think they are very good for prototyping for sure, especially Flutter. Uh, we are experimenting with Kotlin multi-platform, I think, from what I understand. For native development, for most of the development, we have lots of support code written, some abstractions around everything in native already. So it would be a big step to take to move to cross-platform, if at all. React Native, from what I understand, has some problem with security issues and performance, and we cannot take those risks. Flutter, we are keeping an eye out for it. It is improving every day, but yes, we can always be sure that native will be around always. So for we in general, we try to rely as little as possible on third-party frameworks. So it might have its merits in some applications, but for us, it's not exactly the best.
Makes sense. This question's probably more towards you, Jairo. We also spoke about BI during the presentation, but one of the members of the audience has asked, what about data science of the company? You mentioned BI. Do you have any machine learning AI teams for clustering, predictions, patterns, etc.?
Yes, we do. This is top secret. We cannot discuss many things about it because obviously this is the most of the decisions that we take are based on research, but also in data. We move a huge amount of data, and we have a team of scientists, and we use machine learning to process and to eat all this data as well. So yes, we do. Can we talk about it in detail? Not today. Not today.
That's fine. We can keep some of the secrets completely secret. That's not a problem. In terms of the, and I think this is interesting for potential users as well as attendees, how do you internally deal with things like fake profiles, bots, etc., from a usability perspective?
Someone? Darren, could you please repeat the question? I didn't quite understand.
You can hear me fine. So the question was, how do you as a business deal with things like fake profiles and bots, etc., on the application?
We try to be a quite secure place for everyone, and we have a legion of moderators. Okay, but this is a lot of manual work, right? We have a lot of features to avoid this manual work. As I said, we have gesture verification. We try to verify directly with IA. We also verify your cell phone, we verify your mobile phone. There's several measures. But in terms of reporting, as I said, so moderators can take action. It's based on users. We try to provide an environment where we don't support bad behaviors. If someone feels, I don't know, someone is, I don't remember the word in English, sorry, but there's a bad behavior from any user. You can report this user, and in less than in matter of hours, this user will be banned if it is proven that this user was a bad behavior. We have also a part of bad behavior people that are spammers. So we have an anti-spam team in charge of detecting this kind of patterns as well. We use some kind of IA as well to detect patterns, to detect bubbles, and not everything is manual. As I said, we have data scientists working on these things. This is one of the main keys of our business to keep it safe. If people don't feel safe using our application, people will not use our application, and that will be very bad. Since we have a lot of users, our business will not work if people wouldn't feel safe with us.
Makes perfect sense. There's a question earlier. I can't find the question because I saw it come up, but like the exact wording. But I thought it's quite interesting. You were talking about how you're setting up an office in Spain at the moment. There's one in Moscow right now. Obviously, there's teams in Austin and the UK as well, which means that there's probably many different languages, not just in those offices, but also in the UK team as well. How does that work, communication across the different areas?
And we try to keep all communications and everything that is written in English as a base rule. Even when we had just one office in London, we had people from a lot of different countries, and things happen. Okay, you're in the kitchen with people from with your mother tongue, and you switch, right? But we try to moderate these situations. So we had a rule which was called the carpet rule. So if you have your feet in the carpet, then you need to speak English. If there are some certain areas where you can use mother tongue freely. But despite of these rules, people are quite people try to use English. So there is no conversations that happen that you want to hide something and so on. We want to make sure that we are in an inclusive environment. And the moment you are in the office, you speak English. And if we are online, all the communications, all the meetings, everything that is written, tickets, Jira, emails, and so on, it's in English as well. So it's one of our main communication tools, English, and you need to speak it at a level that allows you to communicate with anyone.
Makes complete sense. So question for you, Zsolt, I guess. Apart from being good at a particular tech, because that's going to be a need in any company, you're going to have to meet a certain level of proficiency. But outside of that, what advice would you give to someone about the most important trait that you need to have when joining Bumble?
That's a very good question. I think to be open-minded, be curious, explorative, and right, it all is centered around being a good teammate, right? So you would want to surround yourself with people who have ideas that they can contribute to, and they would explore all the corner cases or come up with seemingly impossible ideas that we can look at for all the possibilities. But then again, to be open for criticism on those ideas. So all in all, be open-minded, be friendly, awesome people. More on the soft skills level, yes.
Perfect. I don't know, Chitra, given you've joined quite recently, I don't know if there's anything you want to add on top of that.
I guess being proactive always helps, not waiting for being told what to do, but, being ready to do more stuff, and being a learner always. It's nothing special to Bumble, but in general, I think it helps as a developer to always keep learning, because technologies keep changing all the time. Yeah, I guess, yeah, I can't think of anything very special for Bumble. Yeah, that's it, I guess.
One thing to add here, based on this, just gave me the idea. It's not something right at the start that you need to qualify with, but kind of an approach that we would like to encourage once you join Bumble is ownership. So as you mature inside the company, you are becoming more autonomous, and you are owning the problems that you find. You're not waiting for others to tell you what to do. If you find a problem, then you are being proactive, and you are owning these things, and you are showing the results. So you show these processes and see them to fruition, not just wait for others to do. So ownership, I would say, yes.
Perfect. And I guess building on top of that a little bit, a challenge that I have myself, and it'd be interesting to get your guys' takes as well on it, is when working from home, it's often very difficult to switch off, especially if you're working in a tech-focused role where things are continuously going on. It's not, things don't stop at 5 o'clock at night when you finish. So how would you deal with that from a work-life balance perspective at Bumble?
Interestingly, I find that people are not, how should I say, I did not find this to be a problem, honestly. It's not like everyone is always reaching out to you, and it's okay not to answer if you have anything to deal with. On the other hand, we have an awesome HR team who pay attention to the health and mental well-being of the employees. So they discuss it from time to time, what you can do working in a remote environment and how not to get carried away in a negative direction in this. So I think it all in all goes very well, I would say.
Anything you two would add?
Yeah, I would add to it that very recently I saw this culture I experienced this culture in some other place where people would just work all the time from home, or even after returning home from office, that there will be constant some chat messages on Slack, etc. But on the contrary, in Bumble, I find work-life balance to be very good. You are part of only enough Slack channels, and enough, you are invited to only enough meetings, like optimum number of meetings. So you're not wasting your time in reading some messages that are not relevant to you, and people are not disturbing you much in general. And I can get a lot of work packed in my normal 9 to 6 schedule. And I also really like the flexibility in Bumble, because, for instance, because of COVID, I did not have childcare available, and me and my husband were doing shifts, and it was completely acceptable. So I was working from 10 to 2 and 6 to 10 briefly, while childcare was still, facilities were not open during COVID lockdown. So there was this very human approach. There's lots of understanding in the company about these kind of situations, and I found it very easy to balance both childcare and work during this time. So I find that the work-life balance is actually pretty great in Bumble. Another great thing about Bumble is that because we are a product company, we are not committing to some deadlines of delivering some feature to some client by a particular date. And this also helps that we are not forced to do something by particular date, so which means that we are not running into nights and all. Obviously, we have to deliver fast because, you know, we are a business, and business needs to move fast. But it's not that crucial that contracts will be broken if something is not dismissed by delivered by a particular date. So even in this respect, the work-life balance is quite great. So the pace of work is pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Probably a question from you, Jairo, here. With tech, it moves so quickly, and there's always new languages coming about and becoming prominent in the industry. How do you, as a business, go about implementing the newest frameworks and newest tech as time goes on?
Great. So as I said, we try to innovate meaningfully. That means trying to find the right problem we're trying to solve and trying to find the tools that will help us to solve that problem. If there is something that really helps us to achieve something that we really want to achieve, we observe, we try, and then we go with it, right? I wouldn't say that we are early adopters. We're careful adopters. For example, I don't know, Swift UI, right? This is something that appeared back in time. Not back in time, okay, some time ago, but we're not using it yet because that will introduce a lot of overhead in our processes, but we will end up using it at some point, right? So we're getting ready for that. We have a part of our UI committee on iOS is exploring this option and made prototypes and so on, and we have it there sleeping, right? So we already tried, we experimented with it, we decided it's not the right moment. We didn't go to production with it because that would be probably harmful for our processes. So this is the way we usually move, we go carefully. We experimented with some technologies, many of them, and some of them went live. We had some applications back in the past building React Native as well. So we were experimenting with React Native, and we found out that it was a great approach for prototyping and for minor applications. We also have some small applications inside in Flutter as well. We're even experimenting with Kotlin native on Android and iOS, and one of our developers is the main contributor to it. And the answer is, we think about that, we experiment with it, and we move if it makes sense. And when it makes sense, we're very careful with this one. Probably Zsolt can can tell more about this.
You left very little for me to address here. Yes, we are careful adopters, but we are also early adopters in the sense that we are early to point out new possible technologies to adopt later, and we start experimenting and looking into them quite early. So we are not trying, we are trying to keep up to date, right? And if you see that there's a new technology in the horizon, then we start discussing it quite early on. But yes, we only move it to production once we are sure that it won't hurt anything, but actually make an improvement, and it will be worth it.
Amazing. We're in the final 5 minutes, so I won't chuck any more questions from you to you from the audience. What we'll do though, just for all the attendees, is we're going to collate all the questions that come that we haven't answered, and we'll make sure to send them across to the team to answer, and then we will publish these and make sure that you get your answers. But I guess hopefully a lot of the attendees are interested in things you're doing at Bumble and potentially interested in opportunities that are going in the business. Is there anything else that you three would talk about right now, just to give a little bit more of a flavour to attendees that might be interested to join Bumble?
No, we have covered a lot of things, right? I guess we can add, despite it might seem that we're a dating company, Bumble and Badoo, we're opening horizons, and this is about making connections, meaningful connections. Try to find kindness in people, right? And sometimes you are not looking only for dating. Sometimes you're looking for some friendship, to share something, right? And this is the new thing we want to explore from now on. Try to open these horizons to make sure that whatever you're looking for, you are able to find it. And experimenting with many other new technologies, which I cannot talk about right now. Chitra, Zsolt, you want to add something?
I don't have much to say, but yeah, I hope whatever you have said has been good enough to keep you, to have you all interested in you, and I hope to see some more applications, and yeah, I hope to see some of you in the company soon.
So?
I'll pass. Nothing more to add here.
Cool. All right. Well, firstly, thank you to all three of you for attending. Hopefully, all the listeners have enjoyed it. I can see quite a few thank yous in the chat. So it seems like we've inspired a few people, and there's someone that I know from a personal level that has texted me to say how much they've enjoyed this. So that's great. What we'll do is, like I say, we'll collate all the questions and then make sure that they're all answered. But thank you for all the attendees, and thank you for the Bumble team for attending.
Yeah, thank you very much, Darren. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for organizing. Thank you all for coming.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.